"Get out, this table's reserved for family," my sister sneered, gesturing to a rickety chair tucked beside a dumpster. The room erupted in laughter as I stood there, my face burning. My mother averted her eyes, my father snickered quietly, and my cousins masked their smirks with their napkins. The server paused, puzzled, but I gave a small nod and shuffled to the isolated seat. The stench of refuse mingled with the faint scent of the venue's roses. My sister lifted her glass, basking in the room's admiration, while I sat pressed against the cold wall. The family's punchline, the outcast. But then, as plates were cleared and desserts vanished, the bill arrived. $4,600. The server's gaze swept the table, then it settled on me. "Miss, will you be covering this?" I felt every stare, every sly grin. They assumed, as always, I'd foot the bill, the dependable one, the one who worked tirelessly, paid without complaint, and kept the family afloat in the shadows. But tonight, I smiled. Not my table. The room went still. My sister's spoon clinked against her plate. My father's chuckle died. My mother's lips parted, but no sound came. The server raised an eyebrow, then slid the bill toward the table's head, toward my sister. In that instant, as worry flashed across their faces, I understood something. They hadn't welcomed me to their table, but they couldn't feast without me. My name is Claire Dawson, I'm 32. And if you think you know how this ends, keep watching. What happens when the one they ridicule doesn't just stand up but walks away, wallet shut? The silence after my words lingered longer than the meal. The server shifted awkwardly, pen poised, as my sister fumbled for her purse. "Claire, don't be ridiculous," my father snapped, his voice taut. "Pay it like always, we'll figure it out later." I leaned back, arms crossed. "No, Dad. You made it clear I'm not family. If I'm not family, this bill isn't mine." Gasps echoed around the table. My sister's smugness wavered, her hands digging through her luxury purse. "You're not serious," she stammered. "I can't cover this tonight." The server cleared his throat. "Ma'am, the restaurant requires full payment." My sister's cheeks flushed. She turned to our mother. "Pay it, she's just trying to embarrass me." Our mother avoided my eyes, murmuring, "Claire, please. Don't cause a scene." A bitter chuckle rose in my throat. "I didn't create this scene, you did. When you shoved me to the corner, when you laughed while I sat alone. You wanted me out of the picture? Fine, but don't expect me to bankroll a meal I wasn't invited to share." The server set the bill firmly before my sister. The sound rang like a judge's gavel. For once, the room wasn't filled with laughter. It was heavy with the weight of their own entitlement crushing them. And for the first time in years, I wasn't the one bearing it. I was free. The ride home was its own spectacle. My sister avoided my gaze as she struggled with her credit card at the counter, her voice shaky as she signed the slip. My father muttered about respect under his breath. My mother dabbed her eyes with a napkin, ashamed not of their actions, but of my refusal to comply. I stepped out first, the crisp night air washing over me like a gift. For once, I wasn't burdened by their mockery or their demands. I'd left them to choke on their own bill, their own arrogance, but the consequences came swiftly. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a text from my sister. "You shamed us last night. Everyone's livid. Dad says you're selfish." Selfish. The word they always flung when I dared say no. I replied, "Not selfish, boundaries." Then I set my phone down and brewed coffee in my quiet apartment, the steam rising like a triumph. By midday, cousins were texting too. "Why didn't you just pay? It's what you always do." Exactly. That was the issue. They'd cast me as the provider, the fixer, the unseen wallet. But last night, I rewrote the story. I pictured my sister's face when the server placed the bill before her, the panic as she realized the safety net had vanished. It wasn't spite. It was truth. And truth, I learned, was the first step to liberation. For the first time, I wasn't ashamed. They were. By the weekend, the family group chat exploded. My mother wrote first. "Claire, your father and I are deeply disappointed. You humiliated us in public." Then my father. "If you want to be treated like an adult, act like one. Adults take responsibility." And finally, my sister. "You ruined my birthday dinner. Everyone thinks I'm broke because of you." I stared at the messages piling up and let out a soft laugh. Responsibility? I'd been carrying theirs for years. Rent, utilities, last-minute crises. I'd slipped them cash so often I'd lost track. My sister's designer purse, the one she gripped while claiming she was broke. I'd helped pay for that too, though she'd never admit it. This wasn't about responsibility. It was about control. I set my phone aside and picked up my paintbrush, dragging a vibrant streak of red across the canvas. For years, I'd dimmed my own light to make space for theirs. Now I was painting boldly, fearlessly, unapologetically. An hour later, my phone buzzed again, a single text from my father. "Don't come to Sunday dinner unless you're ready to apologize." I smiled, dipped my brush in blue, and whispered to myself, "Then I guess I won't be there." Because I'd finally seen what they never wanted me to know. Love doesn't demand payment. Family doesn't come with a bill. If sitting at their table meant paying for my place, I was done dining there. Sunday arrived, and for the first time in years, I didn't drive to my parents' house. No dish in the backseat, no knot of dread in my chest. Instead, I spent the morning with myself, coffee in hand, music playing, the scent of fresh paint filling my small apartment. Around noon, my phone lit up with missed calls. First my mother, then my father, then my sister, her name flashing repeatedly until a text came through. "The kids keep asking where Aunt Claire is. Do you really not care about them?" There it was, the guilt trip. My sister played it masterfully. She knew I adored those kids. She knew they were the only reason I'd endured years of ridicule, late-night babysitting, and endless favors. But love for them didn't mean servitude to her. I typed slowly, deliberately. "I care about the kids, but I won't teach them love means being used. Find another lesson." The typing bubbles appeared, vanished, appeared again, then silence. I set my phone down and stepped onto the balcony. The sun glowed golden over the city, rooftops shimmering. A breeze stirred my hair as I breathed in the stillness. It felt like stepping into a life I'd been denied for years, one where my value wasn't measured by what I paid or sacrificed. For once, I wasn't their fallback. I wasn't the invisible bank. I was just Claire, and maybe that was enough. By Monday, word had spread through the extended family. An aunt messaged me privately. "I heard about the restaurant. Honestly, Claire, good for you. They've relied on you too long." Her words stopped me. For years, I thought no one noticed how I always covered the tab, how I was pushed to the sidelines. But apparently they had, people saw. They just never spoke up. Later that day, my father left a voicemail, his tone cutting. "You've shamed this family. Your sister's friends are talking. You think this makes you strong? It makes you heartless." I replayed it twice, not from guilt, but to savor the irony. Heartless. After years of being mocked, dismissed, treated as the fallback, Heartless was seating me by the garbage while they dined like kings. That night, I pulled out the receipt for my own meal, a simple takeout order I'd grabbed after the restaurant chaos, $14.75. I taped it into my journal and wrote beneath it, "Best meal ever because it was mine." The next morning, my sister texted again, brief and biting, "You're not family anymore." I stared at the words, letting them sink in. Not family, yet for the first time I didn't feel cast out. I felt free. Because a family that only values your wallet, your silence, your compliance isn't family at all. They thought their rejection was punishment, but it was freedom, and I planned to embrace it. The days that followed felt lighter than I'd ever dreamed. My mornings were free of their demands, my evenings untouched by their judgments. I painted until the sun sank below the horizon, colors bursting across the canvas like freedom made tangible. But freedom, I discovered, ripples outward. On Wednesday, a cousin sent me a screenshot from social media. My sister had posted a long, self-pitying rant. "Some people abandon family when times get tough. Money isn't everything, loyalty is." Comments were divided. Some echoed her, but others, surprisingly many, asked the question she dodged. Why was Claire always the one paying? For once, she couldn't control the story. That night, my mother called again, her voice softer, almost fragile. "Claire, this is tearing us apart. Can't you just forgive your sister?" "Do it for the family." I let her speak, then replied carefully. "Forgiveness isn't the issue, respect is. Until you get that, there's nothing to mend." She fell silent, the line heavy with unspoken words. When I hung up, I felt no guilt, only clarity. For years, I thought belonging meant sacrificing myself until they saw me. But belonging built on sacrifice isn't belonging, it's captivity, and I was done being bound. The truth was out now. They could twist it, deny it, spin it, but the world had seen enough to understand. And so had I the following Sunday. I sat in my apartment, windows flung wide, sunlight spilling across the floor. I brewed coffee, its warmth filling the space. For the first time in years, I didn't brace for Sunday dinner. I pictured the scene at my parents' house, the forced smiles, the tension bubbling beneath, my sister pretending not to notice the stares. They'd always prided themselves on appearances, but appearances cost dearly. And this time, the bill hadn't landed on me. As I scrolled through my phone, another message appeared, this time from my mother. Short. "We miss you." I studied the words, turning them over like coins in my palm. Did they miss me or what I provided? Did they miss Claire, the daughter and sister, or Claire, the silent funder, the easy scapegoat? The answer didn't matter anymore. I set the phone aside and opened my journal. On a fresh page, I wrote, "Love without respect isn't love. Family without dignity isn't family. Tonight, I choose myself." I closed the journal and stepped to my easel. A canvas rested against it, half-finished, colors colliding in vibrant chaos. I dipped my brush into yellow and swept it across the surface, bold and radiant. It felt like breathing. As the brush moved, I thought back to that night at the restaurant, the laughter, the humiliation, the server's uncertain gaze. And then my words, not my table. Those words had changed everything because they weren't just about a bill. They were about a lifetime of being sidelined, mocked, erased, and finally, refusing to pay for my own erasure. The bill had been theirs all along, and I was done carrying what wasn't mine. I stepped back from the canvas, sunlight glinting off the streaks of yellow, and smiled. This was my table now, my home, my life, and no one could take the seat I'd carved for myself.